Hello, friends. My name is Aslam Sheikh, your host for this evening. I'm founder and CEO of Alif and a platform to promote the global perspective of education and career. This is our 22nd webinar series and broadcasted live on Facebook and YouTube channel. Every Friday, we aim to bring in the valuable speakers to discuss the topic that is important to our students and parents. For the benefit of our new visitors, let me quickly introduce you who we are and what we do. Uh, I'll just share the screen with you so that you can also see what I got to share with you. Okay. So talking about Alif, our company name is Alif. It's a first Arabic or in Urdu language. It's a first letter, and it signifies the beginning and helps students to take the first step towards the new education world. So that's the reason why we kept this name as a company. This is our core team members. Our company has been affiliated with all the international and local educational bodies like ISEF from Germany, WEBA from Switzerland, British Council. We also won an award from Singapore as a Singapore Education Specialist. We established in 2008. Till now, we have counseled over 23,000 students. We maintain 100% admission ratio to the universities which we represent. We have got 95% visa ratio, which is among the best in the industry, and we represent 14 countries. In this COVID situation, we had a good news that our company was named as the 10 most recommended overseas education consultants by the Insight Success. What we promise to our students is the 100% guarantee to the admissions to our university, which we represent. These are some of the world-renowned universities where our students are studying various courses, right from bachelor's to PG to master's. We also assured our students a scholarship. Until now, Alif has distributed 23 crore rupees of scholarship to our students in last over 11 years. And scholarship comes in different names under different heads, which is there in front of you. These are some of our students. You can get the scholarship as low as $1,500 to as high as a complete tuition fee waiver. What we offer is the students a first and very important step to make this right as a career counseling, because many of times students are not clear what they want to do in their life, and we use two technologies, DMI or online psychometric tests, through which we help the students to identify their own strengths. We also offer the IELTS coaching for the students, and you must be aware that if you want to go to the foreign university, this is the exam which is compulsory. GRE, GMAT is the optional. We also offer a complete package of study abroad services, right from student profiling to application until the accommodation. So we help the students to handhold them across the study abroad journey. The countries which we represent are across 4 continents in Europe, North America, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. These are the major countries like UK, Switzerland, Germany, Canada, US, countries like Malaysia and UAE, which are the upcoming destination for study abroad. We also offer the other additional services which are very unique in its own nature, and we are the only one to offer in the industry. That includes cross-cultural training, because you are very new to the country. You may not be knowing what's the expectation from the locals from you, the health etiquettes, digital profiling, alumni connect, etc. We also monitor the quality very strictly, and we have got ISO certification. We have got 95% student satisfaction ratio. We visit our students personally. Me and my staff usually visit the students on campus across the countries which we represent. We have been highly followed on Facebook. We are the 3rd largest company on Facebook to be followed in our domain, ranked decently 4.6 out of 5 and 4.2 out of 5 on Google. Some of the stamps of our events which we participate or we organize in India and abroad. Counselors visiting the students abroad, getting to know them well and taking their feedbacks. Some of the success stories like Shweta from Mumbai joined State University of New York. Now she is well settled in New York, and her research work was published in the local newspaper. Akshay is from NM College, and he did his MBA from Ireland, is successfully working with Dell Technologies. And about me, I have traveled across 14 countries, still traveling for last 5 months, of course, was an odd period for my life. Otherwise, I've counseled personally 1,000 students, certified by ISCF, WEBA, British Council, and I'm also the ex-president of BNI Plus, executive member committee member of Bombay Industry Association, to name a few. So that's a small and brief introduction. Let's come back to the program. And today's topic, as we all know, is that are schools safe to reopen amidst COVID-19? And many students and parents have personally requested for this particular topic to be taken on Friday, because the government has issued the guidelines that from 21st onwards, the school and colleges for 9th standard to 12th standard can remain open. They have given the option to students and parents to come back onto the campus. So let's learn from our expert panel that how safe it is and what measures should we follow in order to ensure the safety and security of our own self. So meantime, if you have any questions whilst we go ahead with the program, please do not forget to comment into the comment box, and we will try our best to pick up those questions which are relevant, and we'll request our speakers to address those questions before we go further. So in order to discuss these exciting subjects, let me do the honor of introducing the speakers. Our first speaker, let me have in our room, Dr. Suchita Gupta. Hello, Dr. Suchita. Namaste.
Yes, hello.
Hello, hi. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah. Dr. Shujita is Director of Academics Learning of Temple English Medium School, Jammu and Kashmir. She has invested 30 years in dynamic roles in the education sector. She is the recipient of many awards. To list few are Shiksha Ratna by Education Council of India, Delhi, Super 100 Principles by Educational Endeavors, Dr. APJ Kalam Award in International Educators Conclave and Awards by IITA in 2018, and Lifetime Achievement Award in School Development by National Schools in New Delhi. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let me have another speaker of this evening who is going to join us. Let's welcome Miss Pooja Gupta.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ms. Pooja. Ms. Pooja, she's the CBSE in charge of Kakubhai Parekh School from Gujarat. She has 18 years of experience in the education sector in learning and managing the different managerial roles. Her previous role includes the Vice Principal of Mount Letra Z and Coordinator of Delhi Public School. She holds MSc and MPhil in mathematics, and she is expert in Vedic mathematics. That's very clear. Good to know, Mr. Pooja. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, let's move on, and let me have another expert lady speaker joining us from Switzerland. Let's welcome Mrs. Greta Frey.
Hello, Aslam. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me today. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Greta, for joining us today. Mrs. Greta Frey, she is the Director of International Business Development of IMI Luzern, Switzerland. IMI Luzern is among the top 15 hospitality schools in the world. She has worked in Malta, Germany, and UK. Mrs. Frey joined IMI Luzern over 11 years ago, first in the capacity of Head of Internship, Career, and Alumni, and then promoted to Director of International Business Development for the last 5 years. She's also responsible for the student events on campus as well as alumni gathering. And I'm sure that she's having a very tough, challenging job now, especially considering the situation.
I think everybody's in the same boat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for joining, Greta. I'll come back to you soon. Okay, our next speaker. Let me welcome Mr. Mansoor Ali from AMFA, India. Hello, Mr. Mansoor.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Aslam, for a very burning topic and for a very important cause. My pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir, joining us. Mr. Mansoor is the indoor quality expert and founder of AMFA India. AMFA India has been one of the earliest whistleblower for the onslaught of the COVID-19 virus in India. AMFA is working closely with Maharashtra Health Ministry and Environment Department to set guidelines for various industries post-lockdown period. That includes the schools and colleges as well. Mr. Mansoor Ali is also the founder of EFF Times and platform to bring all stakeholders, including policymakers, in association with Retail Association Skill Council of India, focusing on environment and sustainability. Thank you, Mr. Mansoor. I'll come back to you soon. And our next speaker is Mr. Hitesh Shetty. Hello, Mr. Hitesh. Thank you for joining.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good to have you, sir. Mr. Hitesh is the Head Operations Strategy, Pan India Westfield Pest Control Management. Is a Director Operation with demonstrated history of working on public health, urban pest management, heritage building, preservations, etc. for various species of pest. managing various small and large facilities, airports, metros, townships, schools, and colleges across the country through human safe and environmental friendly integrated pest management process at international technologies. Mr. Shetty has been a part of natural calamities like flood in Kolhapur, Sangli with his team to assist, train, treat the affected areas to protect them from various vector borne diseases. That's a very noble cause, Mr. Shetty. We saw you running around during this difficult time, and your team did a fantastic job. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so for all the viewers, let's begin this topic. And we have got many people have joined us on Facebook and YouTube. And let's begin with our very first question. And this question is addressed to Dr. Suchita. Dr. Suchita, you are joining us from Delhi. Your school is from Jammu Kashmir. So I just wanted to take this time and ask you that we know that the students now are given a choice to go to the campus and 9 to 12 standard. Still, there is ambiguity. Many states are not even accepting. There is still debate is going on. What are your views with regards to the government guidelines of opening up the school?
Thank you, Aslam, for inviting me over here. It's my pleasure to have a interaction with a number of people over here. So, first and the foremost thing is that this corona, when it came in our country, it was a totally like a big issue for everyone. It was we were not able to survive. We were not able to say even think that how to survive with this thing. But somehow everybody has managed it. So in this way, I think everything will be managed slowly and slowly. And if I say, like, government of India is following phase wise unlocking of the activities. They are like firstly they started opening these offices and even the shops and all. So many problems are created after opening the shops, after opening the offices also. But schools, as we know, that it is the biggest what can we can say it is biggest issue that
Right.
school comprises of a huge number of strength of the students whom we have to tackle in a very easy very conscious way. So what is the problem in my point of view? I think it's so as the schools are going online, because when the day that on 22nd of March, when it was announced that there will be lockdown, all the teachers, they were not well aware of that how to go online and everything. So they managed to do. Now they are very well versed, and even the students, they are very much able to understand online classes. So, in my point of view, still we should, because we see that in the market only if the markets are open, again we are finding that in India so many cases every day the cases are increasing. So I think we should not take this risk with the students. If could have been possible online, it should have been done in that way. But otherwise, our government has planned in a very good way. If we have to open from 9 to 12 classes, they have taken very good points that how we
Yeah,
can.
because Dr. Shita, the other the part of the people are also arguing on the point where the report came from UNICEF, which says that only 23% of Indian households has got the internet connections in India. So
Yeah.
when we talk about this internet issue, which is going on across
Yes.
the major part of India, that becomes a very important issue for to address by the government, because then being online, like and remaining 77% students may not have access to to the education.
Yeah, that is true that internet connections were not there, but government has done lot many things. Like radio is there, then TV, through television we can give the classes. They have given so many other apps. If it is not through online, also offline apps are also available. But anyhow, 9 to 12th classes, if we consider these are the board classes, 10th is the board class, 12th is the board class, we have to finish up the syllabus And even what we have noticed that the syllabus is also cut short. They
Right.
have reduced the syllabus also. So if we just have to run after the finishing of the syllabus is also cut short. So we should have, if we can wait for 1 or 2 months more, I think if so, we should have waited
Okay.
because
Great.
at this time it is at the peak. The corona
Right.
is at the peak at this.
Okay, so well taken your points. On this same notes, I would like to now invite in the room Miss Pooja, and let's have her view. She is the representing the school in Gujarat. Miss Pooja, I've got the question which again many students and parents wants to know. And what's your opinion that of having this partial school opening? And at the moment, we are just concentrating on inviting students to from 9 to 12 standard. What's your take and what's your school take on this?
Sir, I feel it's too soon to resume classes, partially or fully, whatever. Since the COVID-19 cases are too high, and we are still struggling to flatten the curve, right, sir? The first thing
Right.
we need to do as a nation is to pioneer a strong and sustainable healthcare system in order to get back to the original education system. We need to have vaccine in hand before we open. As
Mm-hmm.
we know that virus can spread through various means like through surfaces, direct contact, uh, some scientists they speculate that virus remains in the air for 3 hours. So as we have seen from our recent past, Italy having as
Right.
one of the best medical facilities in the world, it was crumpled against this virus. So opening the school will in India will have high risk of students, which may lead to rapid rise in number of cases, which can collapse our already burdened medical infrastructure. Right now, if you see the statistics, 97,800 corona cases per day we are getting all over India. Do you remember
Right.
that initially when the lockdown was there, we were getting only 500 to 600 cases all over India, and we closed all the schools. That
Right.
time, we did not even conduct the board exams. And right now, the scenario is exactly opposite. The curve is so high. The corona cases are at the peak, and we planning to reopen. I don't think so. It's a good idea to reopen at this point of the day. And why not learn from our past? Like if you pick up data, if you pick up data, I have Israel's government. They had reopened school, right? But within
Right.
days of reopening, infections were reported at high school in Jerusalem, and schools had to close down immediately, right?
Right.
You take another example of France. It opened the
Mm.
school, and like 1/3 of the students they returned to the classroom. However, a
Mm.
sudden rise in COVID-19 cases in school caused panic amongst the citizens in
Right.
several schools had to shut down immediately. So why don't
Mm.
we learn from them? Why do we want to repeat the mistakes once again? So I'm strictly
Absolutely.
against the opening, whether it is partially or fully.
Okay. So points well taken, Ms. Pooja. So our schools, what they're feeling that they still have got a time to maybe just settle down with the challenges which we have, and we have got the increase of numbers, and very rightly said by Dr. Suchita and as well as by Pooja. That we all in fact have got the contrast situation as compared to the earlier situation where we had closed down the school. So maybe we government can look into it or relook into it to opening up the school. And Dr. Shujita also said that many schools have adopted the online education system quite well now after lots of learning. So that could be another motivation factor to continue further. Thanks a lot, Ms. Pooja. I'll come back to you on this point. And as rightly said by Ms. Pooja, that there are so many different theories are coming, and Dr. Suchita also emphasized onto this point. So let's have Mr. Mansoor Ali, who was his company was the first whistleblower on COVID-19, and we remember that Mr. Mansoor, you were talking about this thing which when the India was very much engaged with Mr. Trump's visit, and nobody was caring about what's happening in the rest of the world, wherein you pointed out the attention that we should look into it very seriously, and this matter is not going to go in a short span of time, and it can come down to India as well. What your research suggests, what your research says about the humidity, and we have got a lot of different research came in, then the people became confused. So can you provide some clarity onto what's happening with the latest research of WHO on this point?
See, first of all, Aslam, I must compliment you and your team in Alif in front of one and all. I think it's a concern to all parents. And considering Government of India has declared on 21st September, as you said, from 9th to 12th, whatever it is. See, we being a air quality expert, we manage some of the best education center and school in this country on air quality. And when this whole thing came up in China, this is related to our subject. We started tracking and we got to know this subject at a very early stage. If you go to our social media domain, at a very early stage of middle of January, we started talking about how it is likely to impact everybody and including in India. So we had a lot of information that this subject, along with social distancing or disinfection, also is largely related to airborne side. Though there was a lot of talk in the initial few months, when the pandemic happened worldwide, including India, WHO, and all that. I agree, this is a very big crisis. COVID is yet to complete its first birthday. So, all kind of research is going on. But one thing which is very clear, which came out in indoor air quality index and humidity. That is something which we identified, and a very early stage when the lockdown happened in India, we submitted our report to the Health Ministry Maharashtra. I had a personal meeting with the Health Minister Maharashtra. I'm glad that he understood the gravity and he made us the part of the Maharashtra Health Ministry team, MCGN and BMC, and we have not only shared, and we have acted on many areas in terms of retaining the at least Mumbai city operation alive. We played a very important role. So I believe that we are currently in a very catch-22 situation. I just heard the earlier panelist, they're talking, and I do agree with their concern. But I also would like to share that I'm sure all these elements have gone into the Government of India's in terms of understanding of the situation. So we have now started opening up in the country, though cases are going up with all the terms and conditions. There is some amount of life has to start moving. So we'll talk on maybe in the coming session.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mansoor. That's really valid points, that the life also needs to move on. And then we are into a catch-22 situation, by the way, to which side looks more prominent for us to safeguard the safety as well as to continue what we are losing onto. And on this point, I would like to invite Greta. Greta, your school has opened up its door for local as well as international students. And that was a time whereby COVID was still spreading across the world. However, Switzerland was named as the most safest destination by Forbes during that time. So would you like to share your experience with our listeners, with our other panelists also, that how your school cope up with these challenges, and what's your experience been opening up the school for students in this time?
Of course. I think, first of all, the timeline in Switzerland was slightly different to what it is in India, I think. So obviously it hit Switzerland, COVID-19, a little bit earlier. So actually the first restrictions were put into place on the 16th of March. And at that time, we were fully in the middle of the current semester, the February semester at that point. And of course, for us, having students from about 45 different countries on the campus at any one time, and each of them actually living on campus, so it's actually their home, we did not close, basically. So we have remained operational throughout. There was a period of about 6 to 8 weeks where we were obliged to conduct online classes. So in fact, the Swiss government had, of course, requested that physical classes were not held. Yeah, but actually since the 8th of June, classes have returned to normal. So we've been actually teaching throughout, I would say. And then we had a short summer break. And we started our August intake on the 24th of August, and everything is on track. We have the next intake also coming up in November, and all the students that had to arrive actually have arrived, including those that had faced some delays with visas, because of course many embassies were closed in different countries. But actually everybody who sort of wanted to come has made it. And we have also a fairly large amount of students who are coming in November. So from this perspective, we have not stopped operating. Of course, there have been challenges like having to adapt the way we operate in terms of the dining hall, for example. So we've had certain restrictions with minimum sort of distance between people have had to be implemented. We have disinfectants in the classrooms, in the corridors. Basically, everybody's encouraged to wash their hands, to disinfect their hands. We have face masks that are compulsory in the public areas in the school. So we've done everything basically that was required of us from the Swiss federal government. I would add that actually here in Luzern, in Canton Luzern, where we are located, it's been fairly safe generally. Luckily, I would say touch wood, we've only had in total about 1,100 cases in the Canton of Luzern as a whole. So I think we have been...
You mean to say 1,000 cases in your city of Luzern?
Not city, the state. So in the state of
Okay.
Luzern, there have been a total of 1,100 cases since March. So actually, it's been very well contained here. There are other cities in Switzerland that are a little bit more affected than Luzern. But certainly from our side, it has been actually, I would say, fairly okay. On the public transport, for example, face masks are compulsory. Yeah. And they are thinking that potentially, probably from next week, also face masks will be compulsory in shops, for example, and other areas. Yeah. But otherwise, it's been relatively okay. I think it's obviously for young people, going out partying is maybe not really the priority at this point. Yeah, so we're encouraging all our students to stay on campus as much as they can. We're encouraging also students to organize their meetings via Teams. Yeah, we use Microsoft Teams basically internally, and actually it's been relatively okay.
Okay, that's nice. Nice to hear that that the school has taken a positive step, and then you still have very few cases reported in the city. Thank you, Greta. I'll come back to you soon. On this note, I would like to add here Mr. Hitesh Shetty. Hitesh, now we've heard a panel speaking about being concerned over the government decision, and also we heard from Mr. Mansoor about the situation and his research, wherein Greta added that their school is already open. Now, as a disinfection expert, and you've been handling, I think, quite a renowned panelist, renowned industrialist like Adi Godrej, Anand Mahindra. You serve them, your company served them personally. You've been also looking after Mumbai Metro Station work and T2 airport. So having a lot of other schools, you've started doing it. So what's your advice if the school wants to go ahead with opening up the school? What are your advices for the schools before opening up the school? What measures should they take it?
Yeah, Assam. So when it comes to school, it's a very sensitive institution, unlike a very various other commercial establishments. With our children actually going, so it's something that each and every parent is more sensitive to an institution like these. There are various hundreds of queries that actually keep coming to our teams, and we are actually setting up various systems and processes where we are very closely working with a lot of trustees and other institutions. So we're talking of a virus which is around 125 nanometer. There are various as we speak, there are various research happening on COVID even as of now, and it will probably go on for quite some time. Large organizations like WHO, UNICEF, and various others are constantly working on trying and understanding more of this virus. So as we understand, we need to realize that additional protection against this potential contamination is required. Our general cleaning routine that we generally work with in all these schools and colleges is actually not enough. There is a lot more. There's additional sanitation in regards to professional sanitation experts, which with specific equipment, with global guidelines, who actually understand global guidelines, who follow with work with disinfectants, was certified by global associations like the USEPA. There are specific WHO certified equipment which specifically needs to actually apply, because we're talking of human touch points. So it will not make sense that you do not use a proper equipment where it doesn't reach all unaccessible areas, all the human touch point areas. So if that is actually not taken care, even the thing with the contamination is not just viruses. We are staying in a country of India where we have monsoons. So we're not just talking about with our schools being shut for the last 6 months. We're also talking of a lot of other various other viruses, bacteria, algae, fungi, yield, mold, which actually lead to various other respiratory illnesses. And also with
So for the example, for schools to get open, what would be your advice to them if somebody wants to get open? What precaution they should take it right now before opening a school?
So as of now, we're talking of having a complete process actually in place. We're talking of using the right disinfectant, having the right team. Everything is based on layout. We need to understand the ventilation system. We need to have various processes. This CDA actually informs that there are particular guidelines that need to be followed in regards to everything right from the start that a child actually gets into a particular school. We do not just directly allow him into all students directly inside, all parents directly inside into a particular classroom. We should probably have something like a waiting room. All students come into the waiting room, then move into the class. And before the next batch happens, there has to be, that entire class needs to be disinfected. We need to have stations. We need to have wash stations at each and every corner, sanitizers at each and every dock, in each and every foyer. So there are various processes that I believe should actually now come to place. And with a lot of schools that we work with, where not we just wash hands with soap, which now the entire process would probably change. And there need to be different docks at every very close intervals in the entire school as well. Apart from
Absolutely.
which, there is also professional expertise that is actually required in completely disinfecting preschool. Disinfecting all floor, wall surfaces, railings, door handles. So then the entire thing has to be completely disinfected with specific disinfectants.
Okay, I think that's very important what you mentioned to our viewers, because many times as a layman, what we understand is that okay, just use any antibiotic or antibacterial treatment, and the cheapest treatment, because there are many people have mushroom in the industry, and everybody seems to be dealing with disinfection and then different types of medicines which they believe and they claim it. But what you rightly said is it needs to be certified as per the WHO guidelines and the government guidelines.
True. And that's
Yeah,
the whole confusion, that with so many different disinfectants, with so many products all over, with there's UVC and there is swab and there are so many tests, people completely get confused. What's the right thing? Should be used? What are the actual guidelines that should be followed? Which it actually makes sense for it should be values worth and unit worth for our life as well.
absolutely. I'll request our audience, especially the school counselors, principals who are listening to us, please have a look at the professional service providers who actually understand, who have done the immense amount of research, because it's a matter of the life, and you can't take it lightly just for the sake of having any company coming onto the board and helping you out and claiming it to be the safest solution provider. Thank you, Hitesh. That was a really insightful information which you shared with us. I'll come back to you soon. I'll move to Dr. Suchita again. Dr. Suchita, we have heard other panelists also, and we have learned something from them, that what the precautions they are taking and how the experts are aligning their research onto this particular disease. When we talk about the parents and then parents' reaction to this guidelines and this notification which just came in, what is how parents are reacting to you as a head of the school? What kind of queries you are coming through?
Uh, yeah, Aslam, one thing I will tell you that we cannot satisfy anybody in every sphere. So the thing is, it is a fact. It is a fact. And being a
True.
principal and being head of the institution, we are facing these problems from time to time. It is not only due to this COVID session only. because parents have problems in every field. So we have to satisfy them. It is a very tough job for us. Gone are the days when we used to be parents of our children. They were in the schools. We never used to ask so many questions and all. Nowadays, parents are so much either they are having only one child or children. So they are so much, like you can say, passive about those children. So
So,
what about this is like this condition, the parents again, we have gone for the survey. We have asked from the parents in the PTM also, because we conduct online PTMs and all. And in those PTMs, we have asked about the parents that what about that? Because see, when the schools were open in a normal condition, if we used to close the school on Saturdays, parents used to shout on us that why you are opening the school, closing the school on Saturday, because we
okay.
cannot handle our children at home. And now conditions are such that parents are learning that how to handle the children at home and how
Right.
to teach them. What is the condition of the teachers? I really salute to the teachers who are doing wonderful job, and they have
Absolutely.
learned and they have just adapted everything, this online system also, and they are working more than what they were working earlier, but still they are not being paid properly. This is one of the issues. And parents are learning that how to handle the children at home. Now that condition is, but at this stage when we are planning to open, when government has taken this initiative to open, parents are also not ready. Only 25% of the parents, they are ready to open the schools. Rather, parents of pre-primary classes, they are ready. They said ki take our children to the school, we are fed up with them. So higher classes students, if we are like, they are learning self study also nowadays. During
Right.
this period of 6 months, children have started learning how to do the self study. So I
No, I
think it's
actually, I here I'll totally agree with you on this point, because when we had the topic on the new education policy, the same thing
yeah,
has been covered, that the matured students have got settled down with this online education pattern,
yes,
but young kids,
yeah.
it's still a fun and game for them.
Yeah, and even see now they are not going for the tuitions also. Otherwise,
Right.
they were overburdened by the tuition work.
Hmm,
So
hmm.
parents, they used to send them for the tuitions. Now they are doing online. They are studying from the teachers. They are doing their self study. Whatever the problems they are facing, they are talking to the teachers on the phone. So they are learning. So parents, they are not ready. Only 25% of parents in my area, if I say, 25% of parents are only ready, because
Okay.
everybody is curious, because life is more important than this study. Because
Right.
1 year, if even if we are behind 1 year, it will not have any problem.
Okay.
So
Thank you very
yeah,
much, Dr. Shujita. That's really insightful
and
that what
parents,
parents are saying.
yeah, and one thing more, parents are more worried about what precautions you will be taking. If we are asking for the charges or fee or that, they are not going to pay, and government is also supporting them. But they are
Hmm.
saying, but still, in the schools, the management, they are going to take all the precautionary measures, whatever has been told by the government. We
Right.
are
That's
planning
another.
each and everything. But
Yeah, that's another
parents are
aspect
still
to.
having that thing.
Right, right.
Yes.
That's another
Yeah.
aspect to look at it. What you rightly said, that the young kids are not easy to handle, and then the parents would want them to go, but at the same time, the safety is a major concern. And on this point, I would like to invite Miss Puja. Puja, we are concerned about their safety and health, but at the same time, the question has been asked very repeatedly, that what will happen to the academics? What will happen to the syllabus, which has already been lost and which has been curtailed down by the government? If we further delay joining the schools, then how this year is going to look like? Because then we are approaching to the Diwali vacations, and then all the festival season would start, and hardly we will get a time to study and to teach. So what's your point on that?
So, first of all, like I will contradict little bit as far as private schools are concerned, right? There is no loss of academics. There is the syllabus is going as per the like planning. You
Okay.
talk about my school, I'm taking 12th standard mathematics, and out of 13 chapter, there are two books. Part 1 we have already finished, and part 2 we have started, and only 4 chapters are left. So as far as private schools are concerned, there is no problem. But now let's talk about the children who are from the weaker section or who go to government run schools. Definitely there's a loss of academics there. uh,
Mm-hmm.
Again, if we talk about special children, children with disabilities, then
Yeah.
like, because they need human touch and all, so there we'll say that there is loss of things. So for that, two things we can do. Number one, see, there is no we don't need to rush. First thing, we can conduct the examinations little late, somewhere in May. Why conduct on time somewhere in March, right? And we can cut short summer vacation can be cancelled altogether, and it can be used to bridge the gap which has come
Okay.
because of this COVID situation, right? And
Right.
still, it's not too late. It is just a September, sir. And right now, also in the government school, like if we start providing them with the video lectures, CDs, DVDs, right? It's not too late. I think we can cope up with the loss of academics. I This is what
Okay.
I think,
Yeah. Fair enough. I
right?
mean, what you said. Yeah.
And we can give them internet facilities, like we can give the government can give them 2 GBs free data. Like there are a number of YouTubes where the syllabus, like those, I would like to say one thing: where there's a will, there's a way. So all those who really want to study will find
Yeah.
a way somehow, right?
Fair enough.
So
Yes.
right.
I think
I
it's a fair comment. Yeah, Dr. Suchita, you want to add something?
Yeah, yes, I want to add, as Ms. Pooja was saying, that government should give. In my locality where I'm living in Punjab, in Pathankot, there my maid is always worried about that my children homework and all the work is coming on somebody else's phone, because she's not having an Android phone. She has
Uh-huh.
given the number of her neighbor, and whole of the content in the government school I'm talking about. Whole of
Right.
the content is coming over there. They are conducting their test also. They are conducting everything, and she's writing down. And I was really surprised that my maid is writing down her children's work, and she is training her children. And I was just asking her, "Ki, it is your time to learn again." So
Right.
it
Right.
is about, even the government schools, their teachers, they are doing wonders.
Right. That's fantastic. And COVID has taught many things to many people, I believe. And that's a new learning which we have all got. On this note, I would like to add Mansoor Ali. And Mr. Mansoor, your research, which you have extensively done onto this particular disease, and what we have heard from our other speakers, how it makes relevant to the schools and colleges. You have already served to many schools and you help them out, to have the better quality of air and have a more safety. Like I can name some of the schools: US India Education Foundation, American Embassy School in Delhi, the SVKM in Vileparla, Mumbai, JBCI, and IIT Madras. So can you share your insight of working with these schools and helping them out to come out with this difficult time?
Yes, Aslam, actually, our challenge has been, from the day one, when the whole thing started spreading and the awareness started coming in, people, we believe still today, a large understanding about, they believe that it is just the social distancing and the disinfection part takes care of the, whether prevention and control of COVID-19. I think the one major area where we focus, where our research and solution, provider, we as a work in, has been the air quality. And that's where, see, one need to understand how the virus spreads. So far, whatever theories have appeared, the research is going around, it is human to human transmission and from the infected object, and it is an invisible element. So it's very important that whether school authorities or the government, that's where our challenge. And though it has been so far, we have been, it is the premier institute, premier schools, they have been, something which we are in touch with. We are keen that the government of India, in fact, the government of India, first time, based on our report and our movement, with some of the other world experts, they have acknowledged that, and it is part of the SOP guidelines. I would request the other school fraternity people who are there. The SOP guideline, which is released by Government of India, point number 7 talks about the control of temperature and first time relative humidity.
Yeah.
It's a very, very little technical subject. People, if you talk about in India, people have only understanding of air conditioning when it comes to air. There is a big emerging world, that's where we work on, whether it is due to climate change, environment, the air pollution, and most importantly, the humidity. And we, being a Mumbai-based headquarter company, our exposure understanding humidity has been very large, and it has been identified. In fact, we are one of the top 15 research analyst company in the world which has identified humidity relevance with COVID-19 spread and control. This is, in fact, we are part of a global movement. So I would request all of the, school fraternity to understand, and we are pushing very hard from Maharashtra government to Government of India, that these challenges, I have been hearing the other panelists, and I agree with them. When it comes to the school student, the parents concern, the other speaker, Mr. Hitesh, talked about, it's a very, very catch-22 situation. We can hold on little time, because our challenges in India is very different. Our health infrastructure is different vis-a-vis the other, so-called advanced or European countries. So, but at the same time, government has given a lot of thought. That's the reason they have said it's a voluntary thing. They need to start somewhere. They have given, a 9 standard. And one particular element which, all of us have heard probably in this pandemic time has been the immunity. This aspect is largely related to, I would say, three segment. The small children are the most vulnerable one with the senior citizen, but everybody needs to work on little bit immunity. And that's where I would say India has been a blessed country. That's the reason, with all challenges, our cases, our mortality rates have been so far very much under control.
Right. I think you have well said that humanity and immunity, the both are the very important words, which has been less and very randomly understood by many of us. And your research work, your expertise, on a good note, would benefit a lot of schools, especially in this given time. On this note, I would like to add Hitesh here. Hitesh, what would be your quick tips for the schools who are listening to you, and for our other speakers as well who are in this room, to learn from you that what measures they can quickly employ now, considering if the school is running? So what things they should be taking care of? And if you would like to also throw some lights, because we are just entering to the conclusion of the part of the meeting, so you can also throw some lights about the diseases which we know that apart from COVID, the others viruses are also becoming deadly, and we saw in the other countries, in China and other places. So would you like to talk about this?
Yeah, so one is primarily we just need to understand that the entire thing about schools, it cannot work in isolation. It's a community. It works in communities. So primarily, as even CDC recommends that we need to have a plan. We need to have a procedure, protocols. We need to have SOPs for each and every aspect. The thing with children is that children come from various homes, locations. It could be critical locations, non-critical, various age groups. The younger children, transfer lesser than the teenagers. Teenagers would just transmit the virus just like an adult. For which we actually, what we do is, whenever we have critical area inspection and understanding the entire building structure, one is that we need to actually kind of understand the entire structure of the entire building, the layout, the ventilation systems, number of hours that the school is in process. Do we have boarding? Like I mentioned, various docking stations, hand hygiene stations need to come to place. Alcohol hand sanitizers of 60% alcohol should be probably in each foyer, or probably in each class if possible. Procedures, SOPs, each time. So for each and every aspect, whether the child is getting into the classroom, or we have visitors coming in, for teachers, for parents to actually get in, get out. For all of these, there are particular SOPs which need to be created. Also, each and every child needs to have his temperature check. done sanitation. So yeah, like I mentioned of the concept, we have some schools where we have particular waiting rooms created, where a child will come into a particular waiting room so that it doesn't cross contamination of any kind happen. Again, before the next batch actually gets in, it is completely disinfested, and we have the next round of children coming in. Also in
Right.
regards to classrooms, so there are a lot of schools who are now saying, we need to have create more spacing, and a lot of schools of us say that it's okay to have online education for the senior batch, and then they have actually spread classrooms across. So where we had just maybe 2 floors of pre-primary, now they are moving to 3 and 4 floors. And so there are various things that individually there's also a severe condition. So in case a child how do we actually take care of child in case we find he's feeling a little ill? So do we have COVID officer who is actually designated? Do we have a communication between the parent, and what would be the communication process and procedure? How do we take care of him? Do we have initial swabs to actually have initial testings done, rapid tests done at that moment of time? Do we so there is something called the multi-symptom inflammatory condition, which is possibly linked with COVID-19 again. So all these are various research happening. Also, the thing with as we have schools opening up later, virus is one aspect, but there is something there are various bacteria, fungi, viruses, which are being carried by various other species of pests. Something like rodents. Rodents would carry around 35 kinds of species of diseases. There are roaches which actually carry 30 kinds of bacteria, everything from diarrhea, salmonella, where various other species of pests, bird droppings, again have a lot of respiratory illnesses that it actually carries. Now we are just looking at virus from COVID-19, but there are so many other viruses which are existent. Why do we get cold, sneezing, cough, and there are so many other aspects.
Right.
Now that our schools have been closed for the last 6 months, there will definitely be a lot of heavy infestation of rodent infestation within our facility. One is completely disinfecting what is there, getting that entire infestation actually out of our facility, and also further how do we actually get further processes. When it comes down to critical schools, we have a lot of schools where they teach waste management, and so we teach kids put bananas and soil, and so there are a lot of, we also need to understand that all these teaching would also leads a lot of times to attractants for rodents. It leads to fruit flies, fleas, gnats, and drain flies, a lot of other species of pests which was completely ignored. We are sitting in the same. So all these we need to have a specific room,
Right.
for all these such experiments. Is what my recommendation would be.
Wow. So that thank you very much for providing this very expert consultation. And I believe this is the need of the hour for most of the schools and colleges to understand and get to know and get to learn. I'm sure that we have learned a lot from both of your speakers. That what as a school we can follow in order to make sure that the safety norms have been followed up, and we also learn about the different diseases. So, audience, if you would like to get connected with these experts, you can contact them. AMFA India is in the field of air quality and dehumidification, and Mr. Hitesh has been very expert and been doing his fantastic job for over the years. He provides the services across India for lots of schools and colleges, including the corporates in the field of disinfections. Now, if we move to the Greta Frey, we would like to learn. Well, it's very interesting that the school is open now, and you have already got a success with having no cases being reported. So, what your school is doing, what kind of scholarships or incentives you're offering in order to encourage the students and parents to look at Switzerland and your school for higher education?
Yeah. So basically, Assam, just also to clarify that, when we started the intake now in August, we had students coming from over 40 different countries coming into Switzerland. So from a study visa perspective, this is now still.
Oh, we just lost Greta. We'll just wait for him. Meantime, I'll come back to Mansoor Ali. Mr. Mansoor, just a final question. What's your final advice to the schools and colleges who are in preparation of starting the campus?
See, as Mr. Hitesh pointed out, we have been closed for long. There are likely to be all kind of, infections to be around. So it's very important that along with this infection, we also understand the importance of indoor air quality. Understand what is the kind of temperature, which has been specified on SOP. We must, whether it's home. In fact, I will take this forum to share it with everybody, though this has been less spoken, that everybody needs to understand the importance of keeping the temperature at 24 degrees plus. We'd have to get out of that zone that, we want 20, 21-degree cooling and all that. So air conditioning is a big hazard. There are a lot of challenges, less spoken because there are other, areas of, interest is there. But I would like to insist very clearly that please keep your ACs 24 plus. The next important aspect, please try to understand the importance of humidity. India is a very large country. Our weather conditions are different. North is likely to have a very extreme winter in maybe next 2 months time. So air pollution, and the virus has been now proven worldwide that it is related to air. So please give
Right.
little importance, identify some expert in your school panel when they are opening up, because see, government can only give you certain directions. They are not going to specify. So government of India along with WHO guideline, they have outlined the SOP guidelines. So wherever you are not able to get a clarity, take the expert opinion. Don't become an
Right.
expert of this subject, because I mean, it's a very very delicate subject. It is the and also I would request the government of India also to take the teacher fraternity and school fraternity also into confidence, so that the better management happens. This is my
Right.
request to both sides.
Correct. Thank you very much, Mr. Mansoor, for adding this very valuable information. So I'll just go to get back to Greta. Sorry, we lost you.
Sorry, yes.
We were on the question of how you are encouraging and creating a confidence among students and parents across the world to look at and travel, and then still consider Switzerland and your institute as the options for them to come over.
Absolutely. So, first of all, when it comes to the entry requirements, these have remained the same. These have not changed. However, for the IELTS and the TOEFL, which are, of course, the English tests that are required to enter the program, we can accept the IELTS indicator and the TOEFL IBT home edition, which are the online tests. So, for any students who are currently in grade 12, for instance, who are looking to join us in the November or February or May intake, they can have a look at the online results. Yeah, so this is I think a good sign, because of course they cannot physically attend the English test. This is important. We do have a part scholarship for Indian nationals, which students may be eligible to obtain, and of course more details about this from Alif overseas directly. And we have facilitated the quarantine of some students coming from high-risk countries. So Switzerland has a list for mandatory quarantine, and currently there are about 40 countries on this list, including India at the moment. And basically for incoming students from these countries, IMI has provided the quarantine opportunity to do it on the campus, where we had food delivered to their room. They were checked basically medically as well to make sure that everything is okay. And the quarantine is actually monitored by the province of Luzern. Yeah, so from this perspective, of course, we are following every single guideline. We are limiting the classrooms also to maximum 30 students in the classroom at any one time. And therefore, we are doing more hybrid classes, which means actually not many of our classes are more than 30 students anyway, but for the handful of classes that are larger groups, then the students will be separated into groups. So sort of one session you're online, one session you're in the class, and it's split. But of course, being how can I say, a residential school, yeah, where of course we need to also consider that the school is also the home for the students at that particular place. It's not like we can actually shut down. It's very, very difficult for us to say, as from next week we're no longer operating, because that means that students have to return to 40 countries, which is also a challenge at the moment, considering of course the travel restrictions. And in terms of internships, we are still providing all the assistance that we can. In our program, paid internships are an integral part of the program. Of course, there are less opportunities now. Having said that, all our students from the February intake have been placed successfully, which also means that students who had originally planned to spend, the full year in Switzerland, so 6 months study and 6 months paid internship, they have been able to do this with no obstacles as such, apart from the fact that it's obviously a little bit harder to secure the internship now than it was previously. But so we're providing all the assistance that we can. And certainly we encourage, as was mentioned, the fresh air is of course important. We're lucky in Switzerland. We're blessed basically with the beautiful location. We're just by the lake. We encourage students to go out for walks, to get fresh air, to clear their mind, to eat healthily. We provide vegetarian, non-vegetarian options on the campus. Students, are really encouraged to lead a healthy lifestyle, including exercising, and not just, of course, remaining in their rooms all the time. But the students, I must say, being, most of our students are over 18, so they're adults as such. They obviously know what they need to be doing. I think it's a matter of everybody taking the responsibility that, this is a big family. We are about 160 students on the campus, plus about, 40 staff. So that's about 200 people, and we're all responsible for each other. And really, I think that is ultimately an important point in everything that we discuss. It does not ultimately just depend on me as an individual, but it really depends on us, as a community, to make sure that everything that can be done is done to keep students as safe as possible. We even invited a doctor this week to come on the campus. He recorded a message for the students so that they also can understand the system here in Switzerland. Of course, it's very different in other countries. I think the Swiss regulations may differ from what you have in India, for instance, or what you have in Taiwan, or what you have in, other countries. And, by giving them as much information as we can, I think that is really how we can empower them to take the right decisions when it comes to ensuring, the health and safety of everybody on the campus.
Right. I think, yes, that's a pretty extensive services which your school is offering to make sure that the students are in a safe hand. And in fact, that's very important to know also, because the parents here in India, if you send the kids, you're still concerned, and especially when you're sending overseas, where they do not have much of access and then they have got less of connection, it becomes very imperative that they want to see that how the school is taking care of the students. And it's glad to know that you're supporting them for their home quarantine for the initial 14 days when they arrive and throughout the period. So thank you very much. I'm sure that it must have given some confidence to students and parents who are listening to us to look at these options and still carry forward, to have their dream of going abroad to higher education. I'll come quickly to Dr. Suchita Gupta on this note to just before concluding the session. What's your final statement, madam, with regards to the safety and security of the students on behalf of the school?
Yeah, thank you. Once again, I'll just tell this thing that whatever the government of India has taken, whatever the measures they have recommended, we have almost taken everything because it is 21st century. So we are just we have planned that face mask and as well as the face shield for each and every student we are going to provide. Another
Right.
thing is we will be having classes in two phases. Like half of the students will attend the class on one day, other half will attend the same class online, and then other half will attend the class on the next day, and other half will attend the class on online. Even the same thing we have what we have done is like washrooms we have opened all the washrooms for them again divided for two batches because two batches separate batches will be there. We have divided so the disinfect it will be disinfected after one batch will be over.
Right.
Another
Right.
thing is the we have recommended the students to bring their own water bottles, which they will be carrying from their home, and refill will be arranged for them. And
Okay.
moreover, to create that social distancing in the classrooms when 50% of the students will be sitting together. So what we have created is instead of the desk, we have created the chair with the stand on which they can keep their coffee so that less space, less chances of being infected. Because the
I
more
think,
the
yeah.
space will be occupied, the more places the hands will be touched and more chances of that infection are there. So
Absolutely.
these are the measures we have been taking. And the biggest problem again which is coming is of the transport, because the children who are not availing the school transport, and moreover during this 21st September till 30 September, we have requested parents to drop their children themselves because we will not be providing the transport. We just have to see the conditions. What the conditions will be, then we will be providing the school transport from the 1st of October.
Wow.
And
Right.
during that time also, there are many children who are not availing the school transport. So the biggest issue will be of the transport. If the children are, no doubt, in the school, we take so many preventive measures and everything. We have made each and everything ready, what we have planned. But the problem will be again for the books, because during this time, no issue of the library books will be there, that we have already done. Then no games period will be there, no music period, only for the 2 hours. Classes will be for 2 hours. We have divided the classes in two batches. It
Right.
will be from 9:30 to 11:30, then from 12 to 2 o'clock. And
Okay.
in during yeah, and during this time, the basic problem will be again of the transport. Now, what the government will be doing for that thing,
We got
that
to see. Yeah.
yeah, from school side we have taken all
I
the
think
preventive.
I think you have very extensively elaborated all the precautionary measures your school is taking, and I'm sure that that must be giving a good amount of confidence to our students and parents who are listening to you, and to
Yes,
encourage them.
yes, these all things we have already taken and we have decided on them.
Right, very nice. I will quickly come to Ms. Pooja also on this note that, but can you quickly take us through the precautions and measures which you have and your school has taken to ensure the safety of the students in case if it is getting open?
Uh, right, sir. Uh, all the SOPs are followed properly, sir. First thing, like the moment at the entry point, the thermal checkup is there, and again, like they're supposed to hand sanitize, and in sanitizers are kept everywhere. Uh, there are instructions written on the uh, boards, like you have to keep the physical distancing at least 6 feet. That has to be followed. No handshakes, no hugging. Face mask mandatory. uh, Only will be called 50% of the students. Like so far, like we people also go alternatively. So alternate days. Again, sanitizers are kept everywhere. Liquid soaps are kept everywhere. Then respiratory etiquettes are to be strictly followed. That if you're coughing, then you have to cover your mouth. Uh, Self monitoring of the health is very very important here, sir. So, like, if you need to report any kind of illness if you have, that is very, very important. Spitting is strictly prohibited. And while you exit the school, that time also, that is thermal checkup is there, and again, hand sanitization is done. And entry of visitors is strictly regulated. That's very, very important because we cannot allow visitors here. Daily cleaning of toes are there. Again, we are sanitizing the full thing properly with the proper sodium chloride that I solution. It has to be like all the sanitization of classroom and more frequently touch space surfaces. We have been doing that, and and we are disposing the garbage properly. That's it.
Okay.
So hygiene and sanitation is the most important thing, sir.
Absolutely. That's nice. That's nice to note that the school has put in so much of effort, and I'm sure that it has taken a lot of effort from yours end also to make sure that this has been followed out, because the entire responsibility is onto the school when the students come, and the school becomes responsible for the parents and for the outside world. And it's not an easy job. It's not an easy task from the school point of view to make sure that everything is being followed, and yet we continue with our education. So thank you very much for updating onto this. With this, we have already overshot by 8 minutes our program time. So let me conclude on this session. Thank you very much for joining us today. It was really an insightful and wonderful session on our schools safe to reopen amidst COVID-19. Thank you all our speakers once again for your valuable time and insight which you shared. And I'm sure that this would be very effective and very useful for our audience, students, parents, and school principals who are watching and listening to us. I would also like to thank our audience for patiently listening to us and being available to watch this video. This would be also recorded, and recorded version will be available for the people who have registered with us. If any of our listeners seeks further information, please feel free to contact us. And if you want to get connect with any of our speakers, we'll be more than happy to connect you with them for more information. My name is Aslam Sheikh, founder and CEO of Alif, signing off with the promise to come back again on next Friday, 5 p.m. with another interesting topic and some amazingly talented speakers enlightening us on a subject that is mattering to us and to our life. Until then, thank you very much for watching the program. Stay safe and stay excited.
Thank you, Aslam.